There is no living with this fascism, and that is what we face. Others are launching this Wednesday, November 5th at 11 a.m. at the Washington Monument, and from there it's on. We're calling on people to join us from all across the country to flood D.C. and not stop until the Trump regime is removed, until Trump is removed from power.
Hey everyone, you saw me smiling at my daughter who's at home from school, and my kids are interrupting me with their cuteness, but that's okay. We need a little bit of cuteness. And we have Sam Goldman, who you know her, you love her, and if you don't know her, you will love her. Sam has an amazing superhero origin story because, like many of us, she was sitting there thinking, wow, I can't believe my country is going down the drain and the oligarchs and the fascists and the neo-Nazis are taking over. I have to do something. Who am I? I'm an average American. I am a nobody. I'm also a nobody, Sam. And she says, well, let me use this thing called the technology and the resources and start this platform called Refuse Fascism. And she started from the grassroots, and now it's grown, and now it is actually mobilizing boots on the ground to actually do something and say something against a fascist takeover of the United States of America as the government is shut down, folks, as SNAP benefits are now being partially funded. Some breaking news as of today, because two judges ordered Donald Trump to actually fund SNAP. They're like, okay, we'll partially fund it. And as Donald Trump and the oligarchy are making more and more money, as the rest of us are going broke, Sam is here to talk about what we can do to refuse fascism, both with our voices and also our bodies in the streets. Sam, welcome.
Welcome, Wash. Thanks so much for having me on. And I really feel that your audience of people who know in their bones that there is no living with this fascism, they need to know about what's happening this Wednesday. So I really want to first thank you for bringing me on, and I want to start with this. There is no living with this fascism, and that is what we face. We face a regime that is willing to make its own people go hungry and to then blame immigrants and the trans community for their own crimes. This is a regime that is disappearing people, that is hunting our neighbors down, that is shredding the rule of law. This is a regime that has normalized extrajudicial assassinations in the Caribbean against anyone who he claims is a terrorist. No evidence, no due process, no oversight, none of this. And they are trying to remove the legal distinction between international and domestic terrorists at the very time they are labeling anti-fascists and nonviolent protesters as domestic terrorists. We cannot allow this to go on. There's no living with this. There's no waiting it out. If we do, the room to resist gets narrower. Those who try to stand up get violently forced down or locked up. And we don't have to accept this. We don't. There are tens of millions of us all across this country who hate in our heart everything this regime is doing, who stands against the cruelty and bigotry of this regime. There are tens of millions of us. We showed our numbers on No King's Day 1 and No King's Day 2. And we're showing our numbers every day, and the people heroically defending their neighbors against Trump's Gestapo, otherwise known as ICE. And we see them in the institutions too. This is very important in every institution in this country, not just the NIH and the CDC. All those are important. We see it in the courts. We see it in Congress, and we see it in local governments as well, of people trying to impede this fascist program, trying to put up obstacles. But right now, they're too on the defensive. If we take to the streets in our numbers, not for one day and go back home and go back to our lives, but if we take to the streets and we grow to those millions in our nonviolent, determined, sustained resistance, we can unlock a world of possibilities. We can change the whole alignment through a political earthquake from below that can compel and enable those right now in power who are on the defensive, who can't do the 25th Amendment right now, who can't do impeachment right now, who can't force resignation right now. But that could all change if the people were in the streets. And that's exactly what Refuse Fascism, along with others, are launching this Wednesday, November 5th at 11 a.m. at the Washington Monument. And from there, it's on. We're calling on people to join us from all across the country to flood DC and not stop until the Trump regime is removed, until Trump is removed from power.
What exactly is happening on November 5th? Tell us. What can people expect if they show up?
So they can expect a rally. This is a Wednesday. It's the 1-year anniversary of Trump's election. That needs to be met with mass nonviolent defiance and refusal to accept this as humanity's future. So we're going to be rallying at the Sylvan Theater, and then we're going to march. We're going to march past the White House. We're going to march past the Congress. We're going to march past the Supreme Court. We're going to end in Stanton Park, where people are going to find out about the rest of the calendar. We're having actions every day to again flood DC with the demand that Trump must go now.
And who's speaking?
We haven't finalized all the speakers yet, but we're going to have Michael Fanone. We're going to have religious leaders. We're going to have music. We're going to have people who are coming from across the country, including people who've been on the front lines of struggle to heroically defending the rights of our immigrant siblings coming, including youth coming from several campuses.
Sam, so inshallah this will be successful, and it's the first one that Refuse Fascism has organized. What's the hope for the rollout moving forward?
So this isn't the first thing that Refuse Fascism has organized. I want to clarify for our listeners, we launched in 2016 when we were told we were hyperbolic for using the F word being fascism. Where no, that's not what's happening. We launched and we were calling on people to stop the regime before it starts and to then drive out this regime through nonviolent resistance, because this has been how tyrants have been driven from power before, and we need it here more than ever. But this is the first time we are launching in DC the call for this regime that has already committed so many atrocities in the past 10 months, for this regime to be nonviolently driven from power. We start on November 5th, and it's going to grow from there, because we cannot wait this out. There is no living with this fascism. There's no hoping it goes away on its own. There's no surviving this. We think about that every day, that the children that are left screaming and traumatized after they watch their parents be brutally tackled and kidnapped. Every day, the U.S. military is on the streets of our cities. This cannot go on another day. And to think that we can rely on elections alone to stop this is pure illusion. Not only can't we wait, because that means that we're accepting so many more atrocities, and our room to resist is going to radically shrink. Think about the program of revenge, where they're going after Democrat after Democrat after Democrat. Think about what we're accepting. But more than that, this is a president who did the January 6th insurrection and then pardoned his people. It's like expecting that Dracula is going to do a good job at overseeing the blood bank at the local children's hospital. That's not a fair solution. It's not.
Maybe it's a civil Dracula. Maybe it's a vegan Dracula. Maybe it's a Dracula that only drinks the blood of the swamp, Sam. maybe not our blood, maybe on the blood of the swamp. It's one of those situations where I really appreciate you saying all this. And for folks who don't know, Sam, has been on it for nearly a decade. And let's take the DeLorean back real quick because I think it's inspiring. Right now, here Sam is. She's organizing all these really big folks, good folks, patriots for November 5th to come out of the Washington Memorial and join the existing movements against fascism to put bodies in the streets. But a lot of folks, Sam, I want to go back to this because they're like, man, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to survive. And your origin story for Refuse Fascism was you were like that. You're like, I'm just an average person. I want to do something. Talk to us about how you started.
Yeah. So when Refuse Fascism was founded, um, it was founded with this pledge, which was in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. And I think that, you know, looking back as somebody who works in education, I work with children every day, and what kind of future we are giving our youth, um, is no future that any of us would want to live with or live in. And at that time, I had been active, I'd been fundraising, I'd been doing all sorts of different things. But COVID hit and the lockdown happened, and people were beginning to come into the streets in the most meaningful way, um, to say Black Lives Matter and to stop the rampant mass murder of our youth by the police in the aftermath of the George Floyd murder. And at that moment, I thought, you know what? We need to have a community that extends past where people are located, that's coming together to understand and, most importantly, to act to stop the fascist threat. And now, years later, 5 years later, the fascism is upon us. It is here. It is now, and it will not stop unless we stop it. And
It's one of
I,
those things where, Sam, I'm just curious because you started Refuse Fascism, and I appreciate you inviting me over the years. And I remember when you started off that you said you're like, I just started this off, and I, can you join us? And I'm like, all right, great. And then it's just really amazing to see how it's been growing. But don't you? It's one of those situations where don't you feel like I would love to end this show? I would love to create.
oh yeah, oh yeah. We exist to be out of existence.
Yeah, it's like the anti-capitalism. It's like we're perfectly fine walking away from this, even if it's a moneymaker for us, which is in refuse. Whenever you're in the refuse fascism business, it's very hard to sell out. If in order to sell out, you have to be in the pro-fascism business. But I think Sam, you've been talking to so many experts. Literally, Sam brings on every week, every Sunday. She brings on experts, men and women, individuals who have committed their entire lives to warning about fascism. When you've talked to them recently, and I'm going to talk to Ruth Ben-Ghiat on Tuesday, but you and me have been using the F word, Mehdi Hassan, others. We've been using the W word, white supremacy. We've been using the oligarchy word, broligarchy word, and there was a hesitation, and there's still a hesitation, Sam. There's still a hesitation. When you talk to these experts, do they use the F word now?
Many, many more people are using the F word. Absolutely. And sometimes people use it interchangeably with other terms that might feel more comfortable, like authoritarianism or autocracy. Those seem
Which
to
is
be
just
like
so
the
much nicer
more,
than
more popular, which we should not accept any
yeah,
form
yeah.
of this, right? And I do think that it matters what we call it because it has everything to do with how we respond to it. You go to the doctors to get a diagnosis so you can get the right treatment, and this is no different. But I do think that many, many more people, and not just the people who have studied fascism, but even people who are within positions of power in this country. I don't know if you saw Senator Slotkin's remarks at the Brookings Institute on the authoritarian playbook, but it's really worth watching.
Oh, really? That's good.
She's very clear on what time it is. And yes, she uses the word authoritarianism, not, not fascism. But one of the things that, she points to as look at what time it is she talks about how in 2025, the homeland security threats aren't being defined by the Pentagon. They're not being defined by the intelligence community. They are being defined by one man, Donald Trump. And that what she sees as particularly concerning in light of that is that he's ready to bring the full weight of the U.S. federal government against Americans he perceives as enemies. And that he has one goal that's making sure he and his ilk never have to give up power. And so that is why, it was another example of why I feel that we cannot wait this out, that we have to, and it is possible to drive this regime from power legitimately through nonviolent resistance. If people want to see the 25th Amendment, if they want to see resignation, if they want to see impeachment, that will not happen without the millions in the streets, creating the conditions that compel and give backing to those who have the power to change the course of history.
Well, Sam, have you seen that the data that supports the 3.5% magic number, essentially, that when 3.5% of a nation comes out in the streets, that's usually coincides with the regime falling. And that number for us would be 11.5 million. For No Kings Part 2, the sequel, No Kings Harder, you had about 7 to 8 million people come out. The first one was 5 million. That's not bad. And I think things are going to get far worse before they get better. You were watching the Democracy-ish with me and Danielle. We looked at the latest poll numbers. CNN's poll that just came out today has approval rating of Donald Trump at 37%. I mean, that's remarkable. The Washington Post poll had it like at 41, which I still think is too high. But the majority of Americans, anywhere from 59 to 68%, are unhappy and saying this country is going in the wrong direction. And Donald Trump is negative double digits on the economy, on tariffs, on inflation, and he's now negative double digits, folks, on immigration. That was his strong suit. And by the way, folks, this is before things are going to get even worse, because people aren't coming to this country to visit. We've lost billions of dollars in trade. Students aren't coming to visit, which means they're the ones who used to subsidize education for the rest of us, right? They used to pay like full price at college universities. The best minds are being, if you will, poached by China and Europe. The trade war is only resulting in increased grocery prices and meat prices, folks. Let me know in the comments. Have you gone grocery shopping lately? Have you noticed it? I went and got like trick or treat candy from Lidl. Lidl is like even more like inexpensive than Safeway and others. And I was like, holy crap. I got some milk, some vegetables. My kids threw in some crap as they usually do. Like, Baba, get this, get this. I was expecting, Sam, like $80. It was like 110. Now, some might say, oh, you get a sticker. You have a feeling, Sam, right? You go to the grocery store. You're like, all right, I kind of know this will cost me 50 to 60. And then I got like, then it hits you. You're like, what? So if that's that much for me, we went to get our car washed yesterday. And I'm old enough to remember, Sam, this is for the kids, that when you went to the car wash, they used to wash the outside of your car and the inside of your car for like $17. Now at Mr. Wash, you get to pay $30 for you and your family to wash the inside of your car on a Saturday for 10 minutes, which is fine. I don't want to complain, but it's like everything's a gig economy, right? SNAP benefits are running out, lines at food banks, right? And I'm so glad you brought this up, because I think there's so many crises. But this story in Venezuela, folks, is huge, because I think they just had the 16th strike today. Just today, right?
It is now over 57 people who've been killed.
16 strikes, extrajudicial, no evidence, no data that supports that they are terrorists or drug smugglers. Donald Trump and this administration has straight up, I'm going to use the word, murdered over 50 people. Now they're saber rattling, threatening war with Venezuela. In Project 2025, the Maduro toppling was already written about. They want Maduro gone. And what Pam Bondi said, Sam, I think this is important for people to remember. I always try to bring this up. Is she said a couple of weeks ago during the security cabinet hearing, in which Donald Trump fell asleep because, of course, she said, we're going to do to these anti-fascists and these liberals what we're doing to these Venezuelans, which is kill them, Sam. So
That's exactly it. I mean, remember, people might remember, in this news conference, I think it was the same one. Maybe it wasn't. You'll correct me. But he said something like, I think we're just going to kill people. People were asking about congressional approval for war.
that was another one. I think that was a
Yeah,
week later.
we're going to kill them. They're going to be like dead. That was what he's saying at the press conference. And I think it was Tom Nichols that said, the American president said, I can point the military any place I want and kill anyone I want. And that eventually is going to become a principle in the domestic use of the military. Nichols said that he's getting people used to the notion that the military is Trump's army.
There you go. And
And
Bridget
that
asked,
any,
"What?"
and
Sorry,
that
go ahead.
any, sorry, and that any way that he's constrained by law, restrained by norms, restrained by American tradition, all that is done. All that is gone. And if that isn't a reason to be out in DC flooding the streets, if that alone isn't a reason to be taking off work, to take off school, to come out during your lunch break, to be there starting Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the Washington Monument, to demand Trump must go now, I don't know what is a reason.
Bridget just asked, well, why does he want to do that? I've talked to Miles Taylor before, who was in the first Trump administration. I've talked to Olivia Troy. Both of them have said when they were in the Trump administration, the first one, and they both resigned, Stephen Miller to them independently revealed his dreams of bombing Latin America. He wants to bomb Mexico, bomb Latin America, send a message to them that they're no longer welcome here. They're obsessed with making America white again. And he said bomb Mexico, right? So now they're after Venezuela because, by the way, a lot of oil and resources in Venezuela, and they have Maduro, so they want to topple Maduro. They want to make an example, like Sam said, that the president can do whatever he wants. Because look, he's doing it. He's like, will they stop me? No one stopped me. And in addition to not stopping them, Republicans said, go ahead. There was a vote on this. The two Republicans who said no were Rand Paul and Murkowski. And I can't, I'm living in the fifth circle of hell, Sam, because I'm agreeing with Rand Paul, because he's come out several times now on cable news.
Oh, yeah.
He's come out several times. The cable news says, I don't think we as Americans want the president to unilaterally just kill people and declare war. I mean, he's actually on point. And so what they're doing is normalizing that the president can unilaterally say that anyone is a drug smuggler or a terrorist, and then without any proof, just kill them. Folks, they can stop the boats. They can literally just blow out the motor of the boats, stop them, interview them, arrest them, try them. No, they're deliberately killing them because they're showing you, if we could kill them, we could kill you. Now you say, Waj and Sam, you're being uh, Donald Trump, a year ago, Sam, because I keep receipts, said that I will unleash the National Guard and the military against the enemy from within, quoting Hitler yet again. What's happening in Portland? What's happening in Chicago? What's happening in LA? ICE agents are straight up shooting priests with tear gas. They're straight up zip tying children. They're raiding schools. They shot a man who was waiting in line at a food bank, a Latino man. They're tackling senators. Senator Padilla got tackled. Maxine Waters had a gun pointed at. If that's what they're doing to them, what will they do to us? So when Sam says we have to refuse fascism, folks, Sam has been on this for like 6 years. I've been on it a bit longer. We're just seeing the trends. We're telling you to look at the evidence of your eyes and your ears. And furthermore, Sam, what do you think this administration will do as people are rising up? You see sentiment, anti-Trump sentiment rising. You see his own base getting pissed off. The Epstein files aren't being released. More and more radicalization. You're seeing Nick Fuentes take over the GOP. You're seeing more and more resistance to ICE. He is a cornered New York City sewer rat. No disrespect to New York City sewer rats. My opinion is, as he gets more desperate, he will go all in on a crackdown and go for martial law. But your take?
My take, well, two parts of it. One, I just want to underscore again, been haven't done the podcast for this long, but I've been on the we need to stop fascism, we need to stop Trump train since
Going to see.
2016. So I was glad to be with you then, and I am so glad to be with you now. And just so much appreciation from coming on the show when nobody was coming on yet, and helping make it what it was, because one of the things that you do that most people don't is you are willing to look at what is not popular and what isn't yet manifest and see potential. People think that oh, he's a ranter, but there's actually a lot of hope and confidence in humanity that you also carry.
I hope
And
so.
and I share that. And it is why I think it is possible for people to drive out Trump, again, non-violently. I will say
Yeah,
that
of
again
course,
and
of course.
again and again, because that's what this movement is committed to. Um, I think that, the point that you made about Ron Paul is an important one. There are people, tens of millions of us nationwide, but in every institution, that feel in their bones the illegitimacy of this regime, who could be compelled and enabled to act, but only if we are creating this massive nonviolent rising from below. You earlier spoke to the number, that 3.5 rule, and part of what that rule talks about is sustained resistance.
There
Part
you
of
go.
that, what that rule talks about, is being in the seat of power. And look, if now isn't a time to make the sacrifice, to take the risk, there will not be a time later. There will not be a safer time later. What you've been talking about, him dropping the hammer, him lashing out. Yes, we should expect that. But the whole situation changes when it's millions of us, when we
Yeah,
don't back down, when any way that they try to slander the movement, like they tried to slander No Kings, when you come back stronger in the face of that, that emboldens the people that care about decency and justice. If every attack we come back stronger from, we gain initiative, we gain momentum in our nonviolent resistance, that matters. But if people think that there's going to be a safer time, if there's going to be a time where there's less risk, there's going to be a time where he won't respond. That time, those days are gone.
Don.
Those days are gone. And if we stay quiet, if we stay home, if we limit our actions, our hopes to only relying on voting, we are setting ourselves up for catastrophe, and not just ourselves, but people all over the world who are depending on what we do. And there's a part of the call for November 5th that I just wanted to share with people, because I
Please.
think it's so true that history is full of examples where people who had right on their side fought against tremendous odds and were victorious. It is also full of examples of people passively hoping to wait it out, only to get swallowed up by a horror beyond what they ever imagined. The future is unwritten. Which one we get is up to us. And I say that because I understand people's fear. If we do X, they might do Y. And I think about what we've already accepted in just 10 months, what has already been normalized, the mass terror that is already being inflicted on our immigrant siblings. And this is before the major infusion of funds that will give ICE more money than many
We'll
militaries.
have, if ICE was a country after the $170 billion infusion into ICE and private prisons, thanks to the big beautiful bill, which will also give permanent tax cuts to the rich and gut Medicaid, ICE, if it was a country, will have the world's 16th largest military. That's what we're about to look. That's what's about to happen to America. And folks, what Sam is saying is everyone thinks it'll just go away. Everyone's trying to outsource this. Everyone's doing it. Inshallah, you can't outsource this. The Iron Man and the Avengers aren't coming to save us. And when you do nothing, you're basically banking on three things historically with fascism. Number one, if I fight them, what's going to happen? They want you to fight them through violence because then they can crush you. So now you're going to be dead. Number two, you do nothing and you hide and you pray they don't come for you. Fascists come for everyone. Or number three, you start goose stepping. You just start goose stepping, and then you're Eichmann. And then you said, I was just following orders at your Nuremberg trial. Those are your three options. You get killed, literally. They come after you for something eventually, despite you hiding. Or number three, you join. You start goose stepping and you join, or you resist in a peaceful, intelligent, strategic manner, which is what our ancestors taught us with the civil rights movement. What happened with Gandhi? It works. We have the numbers, they don't have the numbers. We have the better story, they have the worse story. And we also have money, Sam. And the reason why I'm talking about money so much is we just saw recently where you had ABC, Sinclair, and NextGen, who are all toadies of Trump, sit there and bend the knee. They all bent the knee when Americans said, all right, you're going to cancel Jimmy Kimmel, then go after all these other guys. We're going to cancel Disney Plus. And then within a week, what did you see? They're like, oh, we love money more than anything. The color green still trumps. And we still have the religious holiday of Black Friday because the country's religion is, of course, capitalism. There's also economic boycotts. So there's economic boycotts. There's marching. There's coming out in the streets November 5th to refuse fascism. And the last thing I want to ask you is there's also voting. I know voting by itself won't get us out, but you're looking at a full front assault on fascism from every angle. Those two judges forced Donald Trump to partially fund SNAP, right? You want to just do death by 1,000 cuts. Resistance, 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 resistance. It becomes overwhelming for the fascist regime. So you're in New York. Talk to us about how you feel about this election happening tomorrow.
I'm in DC.
Oh, you're in DC? I thought you were in New York.
I'm Philly proud, but
I thought you were a New Yorker. Oh, forget it, Sam.
No, go Birds, go Birds, F Ice, Free Palestine. But I think that so I don't have like a.
No, you know what? I don't
have a what is that?
No. You don't have to be an insider. That's fine. You had two of the three, which is why you're good. You had F Ice Free Palestine, the Go Birds. I'll let it slide. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a New Yorker. This election tomorrow, with Mamdani in particular.
Yeah.
Your take on this?
My dad would be so disappointed if I ever had the opportunity to say I was from Philly and not say Go Birds. So.
I understand. That's why I get it. You're genetically predisposed to saying that, and as such, I understand. You cannot not say that.
Exactly. No. Yeah. I would say. Wait. Repeat your question. I got focused.
The election of Mamdani.
Okay. So what I am extremely concerned about here is the fascists are not going to relent. Going to relent. They've already threatened. Let's talk about threatened Mamdani's safety, his life, his family's safety. Besides like the disgusting bigotry that has been behind every word that comes out of Trump's mouth, but particularly the venom directed at Mamdani. I think that people should be extremely vigilant. I think that any attack on Mamdani, any slander, all of this needs to be firmly opposed. And I think in terms of the election, I think what I would say is that after people cast their ballot, after people celebrate, get on the Amtrak the next day and come to DC, get on the bus, get in the car and come to DC and be part of launching this. And if you're somebody like Brad Lander, who's going to be extremely tired come November 5th, come down Thursday, come and join us at the Supreme Court on Friday at 9 a.m., where we where we are going to be raising the alarm and defending gay marriage as the Supreme Court is having private conferencing on whether they're going to take the Kim Davis case. So I think that is what I would say. I would say, come as soon as you can, stay as long as you can. We need New York in the House. We need New York in the streets, in the seat of power. And to go back to your point about boycotts and voting, I want to say that there are so many ways that people need to resist and defy nonviolently this regime. And it needs to be something that is felt in every corner of this society. But it has to also take place at the seat of power. Not because I like being in DC. It's not my favorite place to be honest, although I'm kind of liking it more and more the more I come down. But that's not the point. The point is, this is where the decisions get made, and you have to be there. You have to be there. We have to call forward the people. This is winnable, but it only happens if we rise to this occasion and we call on everybody with a heart. And so from there, boycotts can matter. From there, mass defiance and non-cooperation matter. All of that matters, but the key decisive ingredients is those millions in those streets and trying to grow and build those millions. This is, a regime that incited and then pardoned insurrectionists. To think that we can wait to 2026 to handle it is illusion. And he is sending out on Tuesday. We want to talk about elections tomorrow. He's sending his federal forces to monitor elections in 2 Democratic states, in California, in New Jersey. This is election interference. This is going to intimidate Black and brown voters. It's normalizing election interference, and it's really a test run for 2026. Bannon said they're going to go to station ICE at all the election polling places in Democratic states. This is not going to be a free and fair election in 2026. You already have in 24 states, 18 election deniers installed in key positions of election monitoring.
And he wants to go after mail-in, and he wants to go after mail-in voting, even though he's done it before. And he's openly saying, "I won 150 seats through gerrymandering." And Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and Pam Bondi have already said they're open to using the Insurrection Act. That's going to be a precursor to martial law for everyone who thought I was crazy. They're telling you now. They've normalized ICE agents terrorizing Americans with the military and National Guard, a war against Venezuela, disappearing people, the 200 plus men who were kidnapped and sent to El Salvador with $6 million of taxpayer money that was used for that. It's happening in real time, folks. And so we need an 10 toes down resistance. And Sam has a good point that after the election, the work isn't done. The work has to get ratcheted up, because I agree with you, Sam. My concern is that the establishment, and I'm including Democrats, I'm including money, those who vote liberal, they will do everything in their power to destroy Mamdani. Everything. They would rather burn it all down than stop sucking at the teat of corporate money or APAC, right? Like, power will do everything to stay in power, which is why, folks, if you think I'm exaggerating on this, the day is Monday, November 3rd. The election is tomorrow. Mamdani has almost hit 50%. He's a Democrat. Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democratic Party, has still not endorsed Mamdani. What more do you need to see? Bloomberg has given millions of dollars. They brought Clinton out. This is what they're worried about. So when I say the establishment, I'm talking about the Democratic oligarch. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about corporations. They're all in it. We do not want restoration. We want reformation. Reformation now. And I have to leave because I'm bringing on Governor Inslee, Jay Inslee. Remember him? Yeah. Jay Inslee reached out, and specifically Jay Inslee is talking about, he says there's an opening here for Democrats to fight back against Trump's engineered electricity crisis. Electricity prices are rising. He says grocery prices are rising. In addition to climate change, folks, you saw what's happening in Jamaica, and specifically, a report just came out today where Washington Post said because of the warming of the waters, you're going to see extreme rainfall. Climate change is supercharging extreme rainfall. So we have Jay Inslee on in about 3 minutes, talking about Trump's unfolding energy crisis and how Democrats can take advantage of it and fight back and reform. So that'll be on in 3 minutes. But before I let you go, Sam, shamelessly promote yourself and tomorrow's rally.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Waj, for having me on, and for those who are tuning in, really appreciate it. We, the people, we got to act together, united for one demand: Trump must go now. You are needed to be in Washington, D.C. Come as soon as you can, stay as long as you can, coming back again and again, going from thousands to millions, not stopping until this regime is removed. We cannot wait this out. Fascism is upon us, and there is a way to drive it out. We need to be that force, that nonviolent wave that washes over DC and that creates a whole new dynamic where those in power can legitimately drive this regime from power because they're compelled and enabled by our actions. So I'll see you Wednesday, 2 days from now, 11 a.m., Washington Monument. And in the days after, you can find out more information at refusefascism.org. You can get connected there. You can donate there to support this effort if you absolutely cannot be in DC in the streets. And you can listen on Sundays to the Refuse Fascism podcast, where you can find wherever you listen to podcasts.
Folks, that's Sam Goldman. She's fantastic. She's been in it for 10 years. Refuse Fascism started as a small grassroots community. Sam wanted to do something, and now they're organizing rallies and protests and marches. It's a fantastic resource. The show is on every week. I've been on there. She has all these experts warning everything that's happening, folks. She's been on it for 5 years. We're seeing it now in real time. And now it's affecting people's bottom lines. There's a government shutdown. SNAP benefits are about to run out. Energy crisis is through the roof. Groceries are really expensive. Climate change. So support Sam. For those who joined us late, this will be up on my Substack later today. And Governor Inslee is now saying, hey, where's the Substack invite? So let's pray to God I could teach him how this works. I'll have him on in 1 minute. Thanks, Sam.
You've got this, Waj.
Bye.
Bye.